Hello doctors, today we have a question to discuss. So, which of the following preparations, the biomechanical preparation, has better fracture resistance? In the options we have the hand filing, high flex, pro taper gold, and all of the above have same fracture resistance. In order to answer this question properly, first we need to have a good idea of what pericervical dentin is. When it comes to pericervical dentin, as the name suggests, it is the dentin around the cervical region. Some clinicians or researchers mention it as the dentin which is 4 mm above and below the orifice region. Some mention it as 5 mm above and below the orifice region. You can see here, you will have your orifice approximately here, and then 4 mm below and 4 mm above. This dentin is known as pericervical dentin. Okay, what has pericervical dentin to do with the fracture resistance of the tooth? So, what are the types of endocavity preparations? The traditional endodontic cavities, minimally invasive endodontic cavities, the conservative endodontic cavities. So in traditionally endodontic cavity preparation or the traditional endodontic access opening, what we do is we follow all the rules. That is, we need to definitely have a straight line access. We need to de-roof the pulp chamber completely, uh, and all the rules that we study in a traditional endo book. When it comes to minimally invasive endodontics, it is a type of a traditional endodontic cavity preparation, but what you do is you try to preserve the cingulum of the tooth, you try to preserve the ridges of the tooth. So, when it comes to conservative endodontic cavities, so with the recent advances, the last 1 to 2 decades, you can with the CBCTs and different irrigation systems. So what you can do is you can clearly identify the canal positions with CBCTs. So you need not remove the a lot of bulk of tooth structure in order to clean and shape the canal. So now you have an idea of the different types of endo cavities. Um, the next one is von Mises stress, VM stress. What is VM stress? Okay, it's a kind of stress that is calculated. Here we have a picture of a tooth structure. So here what is happening is now the tooth is subjected to 800 newtons of force. So in 4 different scenarios, it is subjected to the same amount of force. What are the 4 different scenarios? Okay, these three. So the tooth is subjected to traditional endodontic cavity. The tooth is subjected to minimally invasive endodontic cavity. After the tooth is subjected to stress after the conservative endodontic cavity. So the first one is where nothing has been done. So it is an intact tooth structure where no endodontic cavity or endodontic preparation has been done. You can clearly see the traditional endodontic cavity, it comes 3, C3, and the conservative endodontic cavity is C2. Okay, so here you can clearly see the distribution of forces in this picture, and you can clearly appreciate the concentration of all the stresses in the pericervical dentin or the pericervical region. And then okay, now we have a picture of a tooth structure, the orifice of a tooth structure. After hand filing, you can clearly appreciate the minimum amount of tooth structure removed at the orifice region. So this is the orifice. There is very minimal amount of tooth structure that has been removed here. You can see microfractures in 1x or 2x magnification, but what I want to appreciate is this is a picture of a tooth structure where this tooth is not subjected to any type of endodontic preparation. Even though you have micro fractures, you can appreciate here, but this is a specimen where you can clearly observe that the amount of tooth structure that has been removed or the amount of dentin that has been removed is way too high when compared to hand filing. Okay, and you can appreciate the fracture here. This is a major fracture. You can appreciate even without any type of magnification. So this is high flex EDM system. Even in Pro Taper Gold, Pro Taper Universal, the same thing happens. In this picture we can see the Pro Taper system, which is most widely used. The first file generally used is the SX file or the orifice opener, which you can clearly see the bulk diameter at the cervical portion. So this clearly says that the amount of tooth structure that is cut is very huge. So when a lot of tooth structure is compromised or cut, you can definitely say that the fracture resistance of the tooth is totally compromised. So one disadvantage that we have with the rotary system is the fracture resistance, compromised fracture resistance to be. Here we have a picture of mechanical properties or the elastic modulus of different materials, including the natural and the restorative materials. Have a look at it. You can have a brief idea of what's the elastic modulus of different materials. So coming back to the question we need to answer today, which of the following preparation has better fracture resistance? I think with the discussion we can clearly say that the hand filing system has better fracture resistance because only a minimal amount of tooth structure is compromised or a minimal amount of dentin is removed and has good fracture resistance. And to be frank, tip of the day is among Pro Taper Gold, Pro Taper Universe and High Flex system, um, studies have proven that the High Flex system has better fracture resistance. Here I have the references. If you want to study in detail regarding these topics, you can do refer the articles that I have mentioned here. Thank you. Hope you like this video.